Hey guys, Timothy Roberts here. In this video, we're going to talk about how dry is too dry. Okay, so as you can tell, these are very dry cymbals. I have been recently developing a new series that I call the Foundation, and this Foundation series utilizes a new foundry that I've been working with that has a different kind of process. Their blanks really respond way differently than the Brazilian bronze I'm used to, and they have an oxide crust that is a little bit different and a little bit heavier than the oxide crust that I'm used to. And so these are two cymbals that I made in the Foundation line, and I got them. They're meant to be the thinner versions of these Foundation cymbals, and they landed in a place, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a video about this before I change them, because they definitely need to be changed. But they really do illustrate a great concept, which is the dryness of your cymbal and how dry is too dry. What do we say? What do we mean when we say dryness? What does that actually entail? I feel like you know it when you hear it, and if you were listening just a second ago, you definitely heard some very, very dry sounds. Dryness is, I would probably describe it as the factor that deals more with the articulation and the attack. And so the more articulate and the more attack and you have, the more dry the sound is. That also comes along with less sustain, less washiness, less airiness, less openness. So as we have cymbals that are, think of like a big old crash cymbal that's got a low shape, fully lathed top and bottom, really heavy taper. It has a lot of ring and sustain and tone. And what that does is it tends to overshadow and outweigh the articulation, the attack, and the crispness. That's what I mean when I say dryness. And so these cymbals are not heavy cymbals. A lot of times we think, oh yeah, dry means super heavy. That can be the case, but in this case, we're dealing with medium thin to thin weights on cymbals, yet we still have this very, very dry sound. So on my right here, I have a 24-inch from my Foundation series, and it weighs 2,991 grams. You can see the bottom is fully lathed. It's actually got a brilliant finish on it. There's a lot of texture from the hammering, and it won't really show up on the camera, but it's not a low profile. It's got a pretty good curvature to it. On the left here, I have a 22 from the same series. This 22 is 2,437 grams, so definitely medium thin, bordering on thin. And it's got the same thing going on the underside, fully lathed and brilliant. I've lathed in a pretty heavy taper. And so in all regards, apart from the crust, these should have a nice, open, airy sound, but they don't. And that is due to this crust that they have. I mean, I just looked at my hands. They're a little bit black. The crust is, it's the foundry that I'm getting these blanks from. They don't do a process called the salt wash, which the salt wash kind of cleans off, knocks off this heavier layer that's on top, this heavier oxide layer on top. And so you get a more mild brown look, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So with the salt wash, you get a look that looks a little bit more like this, as opposed to a look, if I can do this without dropping them, that's like this. So you got a little bit more black, a little bit more brown. And so that black crust is really a rather heavy oxide layer, and that layer is really diminishing the spread and the wash. So I have got a challenge in front of me with these cymbals, because when I work them and try to get them into the final zone, I'm just trying to add in more life, sustain, airiness, trying to take that stuff and bring it up in the mix, which will bring down a little bit of the clarity. And I want to find a good balance there. Right now, it just feels like it's out of balance. It's a little bit more, I mean, it really does sound like a Jack DeJohnette ride. I mean, this sound, that's Jack D all the way, which, you know, I don't necessarily think it's bad. I think that, like, there are certain drummers that play certain styles of music. Maybe it's drum and bass, or a very particular vein of jazz where you're just looking for something that is going to be, like, it's just going to shine a spotlight on what you're actually playing. You know, the sound, the subtlety, and all the bed of sound is really not going to be there at all. And so the spotlight really is on your patterns. Crash it, but it's like, whoop, and it's out, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I love that character, that kind of like woody, dark brown kind of character is really nice to the sound. And so the idea is I want to keep that, but I also want to add in a little bit more breath, a little bit more of like a kind of like a shimmer, a nice sparkle, something that's going to kind of sustain a little bit past the bar line, so that when you crash it, it's not just like crashing a wooden trunk. You know, it's like it's crashing a metal instrument that's going to give you a nice sustaining note. And there's a spectrum with all of this. So you have this giant, you know, you have this giant spectrum of sounds that, and it's not, we tend to think kind of binary, like I want a dark sound or a bright sound, but like you could have dark and bright live in the same cymbal. You could have a bright stick definition with a dark undercurrent. You could have the opposite. You can have all these kinds of things within the same cymbal. And so that's what makes cymbal making so fun. So this video is really just a quick little jump into the topic of dryness. I am going to work these cymbals further to get them into a place that I feel like is a bit better representative of the goal with the Foundation series, which the goal really is this marriage of nuanced, breathy sounds with really clear, articulate, strong sounds in the dry zone. So it's like, the idea is marrying those worlds. Right now, it's just a little bit more like this is a dry, earthy, funky cymbal with no crash whatsoever. So drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of this short little video. And yeah, I might be able to do the edits to this and show you what I was able to accomplish with it. More than likely, these ones are going to get edited and then I won't be able to do an updated video. But you can definitely check out more on my Foundation series. I did a whole 2 or 3 videos on the Foundation series, and I'll link those below so you can check them out. And in those videos, you'll get an idea for what I mean by the kind of breathy thing alongside of the dry thing, because those cymbals really captured it. And you'll see a bunch of stuff about Jonathan Green, who's the artist that I collaborated with to make this series. But otherwise, thank you guys for watching. Drop a comment below. Hit the subscribe and the bell if you want notifications, and keep an eye out for the next video. I'm Timothy Roberts. Thanks for watching.